Hello everyone, I'm Taylor Bambico, and for today's video I'm discussing crossovers. But first, what is a crossover when it comes to fiction? It's relatively quite simple. A crossover is a story involving at least two characters or universes in which these characters originate from. This can include books, television shows, movies, or even video games. A few great examples would be the Avengers franchise, the TV shows The Simpsons and Family Guy, the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and of course there's also the Super Smash Bros. Fighting video games. So now that we've established what a crossover in regards to fiction is, here are 3 things you're going to need before you implement this into your work. These particular tips, I'm only recommending them for stuff that you've done yourself, not something where you have to worry about copyright infringement. First and foremost, you're going to need at least 2 completed works. Of course, these works will have had to have been published, whether it be traditionally or self-published. For instance, all 3 of my novels are actually crossovers of one another. That's something I wanted to do since I began writing, and I'm continuing on with this method throughout the rest of my works as well. And while I continuously cross over all of my work, this brings up my second point, and that is continuity. It wouldn't make any sense if your character acts one way in their story, but then in another book they act completely different. Generally, if they're a villain in their original story and the one they're brought into, they should be a villain as well. If an event is caused by one character who's then brought into the other story, do include that. It just kind of helps link them together. And the reader's going to enjoy that as well because they're going to remember that from that story and go, hey, that's pretty cool. And while I do recommend taking notes as you write your crossover, this is where my third point comes into play, and that is have your books for reference. It should go without saying, but it's going to be very beneficial. In Silent Rage, for example, there is one part where Jedrick and Nicole are actually talking with each other. This one part is what I used to actually write Traffic. Nicole's mannerisms I had to translate over into the entire novel. I had to figure out, okay, why is she like this exactly? And while that scene was written in 2010, it wasn't until 3 years later when I began Traffic. And in time, I will be doing more in-depth videos about my books. And with that, here's a quick recap of the 3 things you need when writing crossover fiction. First and foremost, you need at least 2 works which have been published, whether traditionally or self-published. Second, beware of continuity. And third, have your story for reference. Well, that was my video on 3 tips you need for writing crossover fiction. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell icon so you're notified when I upload new content. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and have a good day. See ya!